it's the only thing I can do. Big wave sinks me while I'm blinking. My boat won't turn, flying after it until I realize it's none of my concern. While it's good to get a grip, it's better to let go, that there's enough of you to hold on to. I remember being 23, so sure that I had learned everything. In the pictures I'm so young and green, that's what I say now that I've seen. That I'm stupid in the moment and so wise when I look back. I thought I understood it, what a time I had. I'll forget again forever like that.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here back in New York. I've been a New Yorker for a little over 2 years now, and it's awesome. So happy to see the mayor prioritizing tenants' rights because, yeah, hell yeah. I used to live in California where they certainly didn't, and I lived in an apartment where I had, well, the situation, they called it a tenant complaint. I called it a gas leak. And it was. So if I say anything you don't like tonight, just remember I lived with a gas leak for 2 to 3 months. So just give me a little grace. But anyway, the song is called California.
All the beautiful girls are sweating through their tank tops. I lived in the studio right by the 99-cent shop. Got followed home at night so much the rent dropped. The sun melted all my lipstick. My vanity made time stop. Guess I played the game, but I never thought about it that way. I laid around the Pasadena compound, made the band play all my amateur shit. Then I'd go home and strangle it. Make a better song, make a better life, make amends with myself all the time. All the time. California, you gave me all my nerve. California, I came to you, weaker girl. I got burnt on all of your beaches, tracing tan lines with my thumb. Fucked around with Hollywood preachers, feeling safe, believing in it. Kept my freedom. Kept my freedom. In the eternal summer, we put the oysters on a credit card. I took a boy back to my borrowed Laurel Canyon backyard. Tried to show him shiny things. He always liked to hear me sing. Now he loves me in my normalcy. We're making out in the Walgreens, California. Gave me all my nerve, California. I came to you, weaker girl. I got burnt on all of your beaches, tracing tan lines with my thumb. Fucked around with Hollywood preachers, feeling saved, believing in it. Kept my freedom. Kept my freedom. weaker girl. I got burnt on all your beaches, tracing tan lines with my thumb. Fucked around with Hollywood preachers, feeling safe, believing in it. Kept my freedom. Kept my freedom.
Thank you. Usually I play with a band, and today I don't. So sometimes the songs sound a little different. So I've never played this one without the band. And if you want to hear me with the band, you can look me up anywhere you listen to music. But this song is called Like the Boys, and it is about being a girl.
Had a dream about the politician's son. In it I was watching him come undone. I saw myself a teenager again. Who's your daddy? I was asking him. Drove fast and made me scared. Laid me down, pulled my hair so Americana dishwater blonde, so symbolic if I thought at all. They had something I wanted again. I kept chasing it, waking up in their beds. I like the boys like to shoot their guns. Something I can hold in my hand, pretending to be someone. Gotta hang on tight when you find a good man. He can go anywhere he can. Fistful of white t-shirt, my hand, souvenirs of a better plan. I was just a kid and I had no choice. It arrived without my knowing now. Just a body when I'm with the boys. When I'm with the boys, they had something I wanna get. I kept chasing it, waking up in their beds. I like the boys like to shoot their guns. Something I can hold in my hand, pretending to be someone. Thought I could be a symbol, and you could be my savior. I'm the first mate on your big boat, yelling, hey sailor, in my Abercrombie underwear, flower in my hair. I thought I was one of them. I was just standing there.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here with More Perfect Union and also with my personal president, Zohran Mamdani. He is just so awesome, right? Every time I talk and play the acoustic guitar at the same time, I feel like a youth pastor, so I'm not going to do that anymore. But anyway, the song's called Strike.
Called you yesterday in the evening. It was pretty late. Got freaked out and WebMD again. And you know I hate, but I can feel all the blood in my arms. Gotta lay down, hold them up above my heart. I make a cup of tea and you read to me over the phone till I let go, till I'm system that I don't trust, but I don't know. Always waiting for the other shit to drop so I can run home, barefoot in the cold, alone. I don't wanna wait for the moment I'm safe to love you. It's always too late when I do. Giving you a knife to hold in my throat, sending for a flood and watching it go. Right, soften underneath your bow, but every time I think you'll strike it out. Took a long walk in the closest woods that I could find in this barren desert wasteland that I call mine. When we sat in the creek, you looked up, golden boy soaking in hostile sun. You needed too much as a child like me. I know what it is to be what you give. Now let's be free. I don't wanna wait for the moment I'm safe to love you. It's always too late when I do. Giving you a knife to hold in my throat, sending for a flood and watching it go. Right, soften underneath your bow, but every time I think you'll strike it out. Every time I think you'll strike you down. Every time I think you'll strike you down.
Thank you. Now, if I wanted to go true youth pastor, I could connect the themes of that song to the themes of the event by saying that I wrote that song when I was in a period of my life of just thinking maybe I'll just have shit-ass relationships forever and I don't deserve better, which is kind of how I felt about the Democratic Party. I was like, damn. It's just shit after shit after shit. All of you is my own, by the way. I'm not affiliated with anyone, so I don't want to get anyone in trouble. I'm a private citizen. But yeah, it's been so exciting to see Zohran do his thing and make young people excited, and for once not feel like pandered to in politics or forgotten or anything else that's bad, because it's pretty good. The song's called Glitter. Oh, speaking of shit-ass boyfriends, the song's called Glitter, you'll see.
DSLR flash, looking past the lens. Teenage imitation now, just a picture of taken. Glitter closing my eyes, falling asleep with your hand in mine. Every moment as a touch of goodbye. We were watching it leave, but we still had time. I wanna kill your boyfriend. On the phone you said, I promise. I know it's bad when I come home on the holiday. whispering like we're 13 again. Glass bottles in the trunk, looking for something far past drunk, learning how to be loved in the back of a car that you're scared of. Fall from a chemical high, outrunning the feeling of being alive. But after it ended, you never felt right. You're not supposed to take that stuff all the time. I wanna kill your boyfriend. He can never know you. He wants to crush you in his hands. And every time that you say he loves me, I say it's not what love means. I say it's not what love means. That's not what love means. That's not what love means. I say it's not what love means. I say it's not what love means. That's 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 not what love means.
Thank you. I have just one more song left. It's been really awesome to be here. If you are joining us late, I'm Eliza McLamb. And yeah, it's been so awesome being here. And thanks to More Perfect for asking me to do this too. Such a great organization, putting on awesome events. Yeah. I got connected with some of these folks at the, oh, you said hit it again. More Perfect is awesome. More Perfect again. I got connected with these folks at a Bernie event, actually, I did recently, which is super cool. I'm from North Carolina, and it was really cool being there and seeing, I mean, it was a sea of basically just like old white Southern Democrats, and every single one of them was like, and these are the people who I feel like when I was growing up was like blue no matter who, just down the line, whatever, we deserve nothing. And all of them were so excited about new progressives and wanting things to change and being down with incremental change. And when I told people there that I was in New York now, it was almost like I told them I was like in Atlantis. There was like, is that real? They were like, you're with Zohran? And I was like, well, yeah, in a way. But it's just really cool. I think it's been, like, Zohran has been such an inspiration, and all the people who've been working to put on events like this are really awesome, and I'm happy to be here. So thank you so much for having me. This song's called Getting Free.
Good girl, you did it again. Found out what's been missing. Now you're in the back of the bus, just sweating through your stitches. Smoking gold in the Kansas heat. Vacuum sealing chicken feet. Well, if it wasn't for the glory, it was for fun. Starting over and over again, I found a bright light and I chased it. So many ways it could have gone down. Pretty much all of them easier than right now. When it's just me and the world, I make a place I can find escape from. Running down the street, away from what I thought I wanted. Getting free. I never got my degree. Somewhere out there another me shoes. Filing papers are in a car on the other side of the street. Spilling drinks at the waitress job isn't much, but it's always enough to know. Always on my way to wherever I go. pretty much all of them easier than right now. When it's just me and the world, I make a place I can find escape from, running down the street, away from what I thought I wanted, getting free. So simple that I pick a fight just to see me win. And you know I'm gonna do it again. I complain but I love the cage. I love getting stuck, locked, picking for days. I love getting free just because I can. And you know I'm gonna do it again. So many ways it could have gone down. Pretty much all of them easier than right now. When it's just me and the world, I make a place I can find escape from, running down the street, away from what I thought I wanted, getting free, getting free, getting free, getting free. Thank you.
All right, give it up for Eliza one more time. All right, and we ask you to look to your left, look to your right. If there's an empty seat between you, please scooch in if you're comfortable, and we'll get started with the program shortly.
Here's the thing, we started out friends. It was cool, but it was all pretend. Yeah, yeah. Since you've been gone, you're dedicated, you took the time. I'm not a fan of the way we're moving. No explanation for why we do this. I
quieres divertir, con encanto y con primor, solo tienes que vivir.
¿A dónde?
Un verano en Nueva York.
Nueva York.
Si te quieres divertir, con encanto y con primor,
¿Pero qué es?
solo tienes que vivir.
Y este frío.
Un verano en Nueva York.
Un ratito nada más.
Ey, 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 4 de julio, verde July. Ando con mi prima borracha Rulay. Los míos en el Bronx, saben la que hay. Con la nota en high, por Washington High. Willy Colón me dicen el malo. Ey, porque pasan los años y sigo dando palos. Vendiendo discos como cuadro Frida Kahlo. El perico es blanco, sí, sí, el pussy racista. No te confundas, no, no, mejor evita. Ey, un chat de cañita en casa de Toñita. Ey, PR se siente cerquita, sí, sí, sí. Con el campeonato nadie me lo quita.
Cerveza nuevo. No me voy de cerveza nuevo, ¿ok? Puerto Rico.
Como Bad Bunny va a ser el del pop, ey, con reggaeton y dembow, ey, con reggaeton y dembow, sí, con reggaeton y dembow. Como Bad Bunny va a ser el del pop, ey, con reggaeton y dembow. Me siento como el lápiz en capa del dough. Cuando yo nací fue que nació el flow de low a low. Ping pong, flow pesado, Big Pong, con silenciador le robamos las gatas. J-Bone, ey, yo estoy en la mía, no tengo adversario, no. Con los Yankees los me aguanzato, a correr que otra vez la sacamos al estadio.
Si te quieres divertir, con encanto y con primor, solo tienes que vivir.
Ya mismo nos vamos. Un ratito
Verano
más.
en Nueva York.
Cuidado que nadie nos escuche. Cuidado que nadie nos escuche. Cuidado que nadie nos escuche. Cuidado. Tú tienes piquete, mami, yo también. Tú estás buena y estoy bueno también. Huelo rico y ando con los de 100. Si tú lo quieres, lo tienes que mover. Tú tienes piquete, mami, yo también. Tú estás buena y estoy bueno también. Huelo rico y ando con los de 100. Si tú lo quieres, lo tienes que mover. Lo tienes que mover. Lo tienes que mover. Lo tienes que mover. Lo tienes que mover.
Que no me cambie nada por allá, que yo lo quiero ver tal como está. Puerto Rico lindo, me hace tan rico poder pensar que yo soy tu hijo como Muñoz, Morel y Escobar. Y otros tantos hijos y nobles hombres que no hay que hablar. Y es que no hay historia ni una memoria para olvidar. Eres Puerto Rico, mi gigante chico, y déjame soñar. Déjame soñar. Que mi San Juan lo dejen como está y que no le quite nada, nada más. Que sea Mayagüez estudiantil, orgullo de allí. Guárdame un palmar y un amanecer cantando un zorzal. Quiero una hamaca, café, la jataca, guábara de allí. Y déjame soñar desde aquí, déjame soñar, déjame soñar. Yo quiero oír un jíbaro cantar y le conteste un gallo en madrugada. Comer poma rosa y oler las rosas de mi rosal. Del norte, del este, del sur y oeste, Poncio, San Juan. Valle de Collores, déjame que llore mientras llego allá. Y déjame soñar desde acá y déjame soñar, déjame soñar. Déjame cantarte
Please welcome to the stage the head of More Perfect University, Elise Joshi.
How's everyone doing here tonight? First of all, okay, how amazing was Saphe and Eliza McLamb? Please give a round of applause to the both of them for performing tonight. And thank you to Hostess Community College for welcoming us here. My name is Elise. I'm 23. I'm an organizer from the Bay Area. I'm not from New York, apologies. And I'm the head of More Perfect University, which is the campus arm of working class newsroom, More Perfect Union. At More Perfect Union, we believe in the power of a story to educate, inspire, and to catalyze chain reactions of effective organizing from community to community, from campus to campus. And More Perfect University opens up our newsroom to campuses. We're training and partnering with student organizers and reporters to tell stories about the issues facing their campus and their community. Students fighting against the erosion of free speech on campuses. Students at University of Michigan organizing for public power instead of their investor-owned utility, DTE. And we're working with students at University of Pittsburgh who built a Rate Yin's landlord website to help students navigate the worsening housing market by submitting reports of the conditions, the rent, the communication, and any other issues that they've experienced. Out of curiosity, how many of you wish you knew more about your landlord before you signed your lease? Yeah, me too. And so we're actually nationalizing Rate Your Landlord with these incredible organizers to help students across campuses hold greedy, bad landlords accountable and shift power back from landlords to tenants. So stay tuned. And this student rental ripoff hearing is More Perfect University's first ever campus event. So thank you all so much for being here. Now, another show of hands. How many of you have an issue with your housing or your landlord right now? Also same. So we're going to get more into that, and we want to hear from you directly. But ultimately, the purpose of this event is to show that the individual problems that you came here to talk about, that you are not alone in dealing with them. And these issues are very much not happening by accident. Corporate landlords have seized control of the housing market, and landlords are even more empowered to squeeze as much out of us as they can. And we know they know it, because we see it in the egregious rent hikes, the neglect, the appliances that don't work, the broken elevator that won't get fixed, the mold. And we see it in the retaliation against us for organizing for dignified housing that we can afford. Greedy landlords want us to believe that we are safer if we are silent and siloed, that we stand to lose everything if we fight back. But the truth is that we stand to lose everything if we keep things the way that they're going. And as a tenant organizer and reporter, I've seen how contagious courage from tenants can be. Kentucky tenants, for example, recently won a collectively bargained lease against their shared landlord, the first tenant bargained lease in the South, despite retaliation and little law backing them up. And it was New York tenants fed up with skyrocketing rent that knocked on 3 million doors to elect Zohran Mamdani. It is a tenant movement powered by the grit, the determination, and the passion of a young people that is not only going to win the agenda that Mayor Mamdani ran on, but a world in which housing is not an asset, but a guarantee and a right for every single person. It is a tenant movement that will ensure that ICE is not welcome in our homes, in our buildings, and in our communities. It is a tenant movement that is going to ensure that our housing is resilient to an accelerating climate crisis, which New York City knows all too well post-Hurricane Sandy. It is a tenant movement that realizes its power as a collective that is going to organize, unionize, bargain, and when necessary, strike for the leases and the living conditions that we deserve. Tenants are the tip of the spear for building a better world. And importantly, we too must build tenant power through government. We must canvass and organize for tenant champions up and down the ballot who will put tenants at the center of their agenda and not at the periphery. Now, how many of you canvassed to elect Zohran Mamdani to be mayor of New York City? Incredible. Well, because you built up the courage to knock on your neighbor's door and tell them that we can fight for a New York that they can afford. New York City has a mayor that is governing the same way that he campaigned, breaking down the barriers built up by bought-out politicians and opening the halls of power tenants have been shut out from for far too long. This administration just released their full housing agenda on Tuesday. In Chapter 1 of their 100-page plan, empowering tenants and strengthening enforcement. Quote, the administration will continue to support the development of tenant unions and work collaboratively with them to hold negligent landlords accountable and ensure that tenants have a voice in public policy. They're streamlining communication of tenants' rights. They're integrating tenant unions into code enforcement for the first time. They're facilitating the conversion of rental buildings into resident-controlled cooperatives, building 200,000 new rent-stabilized apartments, finally building state capacity to finance and build fully funded, deeply affordable social housing. This is a tenant-first agenda, and it was made possible because of tenants, particularly young tenants like you. Young people, we are passed off as naive, but we know that this narrative is intentionally crafted by corporations, mainstream media, and bought-out politicians to maintain a system that doesn't work for working people. What made the establishment quiver at the thought of democratic socialist Zohran Mamdani running the most populous city in this nation is purely fear. Not that his policies will fail, but that they will succeed. It is up to us to continue to be engaged and part of the political process, from testifying at the Rent Guidelines Board's hearings starting next week, to learning your rights as tenants, to organizing a tenant union, which is now recognized as a critical partner to deliver on the mayor's huge agenda. So the success of this agenda is predicated on that involvement. So thank you all for coming here today and making your voices heard. Now, one final ask. I know many of us are strangers, but we are united in our shared identity as tenants. So let's make sure that we feel the solidarity and the camaraderie in this room tonight as our peers ask questions and speak about their living conditions. And now, who wants to hear from the mayor of New York City? Yeah. One more time. I want to feel how excited you are. How excited are you to hear from the mayor, Zohran Mamdani? There we go. Okay, it's an absolute honor. Please welcome Mayor Zohran Mamdani to the stage.
Tell me why ain't nothing but a party. Tell me why ain't nothing but a mistake. Tell me why I never wanna hear you say,
everybody, how we doing? So I had to walk in to Backstreet Boys' I Want It That Way, because that was one of the top songs the last time the Knicks were in the finals. And when I say Knicks in, you say four. Knicks in? Knicks in? Knicks in? We can't wait. City can't wait. It is a pleasure to be here in the BX with each and every one of you. And I want to just first say, let's give it up for More Perfect University. Truly. Because it's great to be here at Hostos with advocates, students, organizers, tenant unions, all who have been on the front lines of leading the fight for the dignified housing that New Yorkers deserve. And I don't need to be the one to tell you that New York City is facing one of the most severe housing crises in the United States of America. That is something that each and every New Yorker feels on the first of the month. They feel it every time that they wake up and they ask themselves, are they going to have enough money to pay rent to keep living in the city that they call home? And it is also the leading driver of the affordability crisis. For working New Yorkers, housing is the heaviest financial burden that they carry. the largest source of stress in a life that frankly is already too stressful. Too many have looked at their rent bill and utility bill at the end of the month and wondered how they could possibly afford both. Too many have stayed up late at night, crunching the numbers, trying to find out any which way they could afford to stay in this city. And too many have spent winters shivering in buildings where the heat doesn't come on, have felt their legs ache as they carry groceries up flight after flight of stairs because the elevator has been broken for months on end, have spent their precious free time dealing with leaks, with mold, with disrepair. Now, this crisis did not arrive by accident. It has been decades in the making. It has been a direct result of decisions that government has made. Decisions that gave landlords the incentives to spike rents and push New Yorkers out of their apartments. Decisions that left tenants with no one to turn to, nowhere to go. Today, my friends, I am so proud to be with you here to announce that we are making a different set of decisions. Our government will no longer treat 70% of New Yorkers that do not own their own homes as afterthoughts. We lead from City Hall in no small part because a movement of tenants helped carry us here, because tenants believed government could govern differently. With our new housing plan, we are going to do exactly that. The plan is named Block by Block, and it is named that because that's how we're going to deliver change, block by block, across the 5 boroughs of this city. We will protect tenants from bad landlords, block by block. We will support tenant unions, block by block. We will deliver some of the strongest and most expansive tenant protections in the United States of America, block by block. Since the day that we took office, we have placed tenants at the heart of our agenda. We have relaunched the mayor's office to protect tenants. We have held bad landlords accountable to the tune of $65 million. We have held rental ripoff hearings across each one of the 5 boroughs. And those hearings, we held them to hear from New Yorkers so that their struggles would inform our policies. Because we heard from tenant after tenant about how their complaints have been ignored. So we are now going to improve the process through which 311 investigates and follows up on complaints. We heard from tenants who told us how bad landlords are allowed to act with impunity in our city. So we are rolling out a new program called Fix the City, allowing us to take legal action against those who are neglecting and mistreating their tenants. And I have to tell you this as we stand here together in the Bronx, that we heard specifically from Bronxites who have been tenants in this borough not for months, not for years, but for decades. And they've told us how for so long they've been excluded. For so long they felt as if they were secondary to anyone's concern. And so that is why we have decided to place a major focus on the Bronx specifically. We know, however, this work to protect tenants will not solve our crisis if tenants can't afford places to live. So that is why, as part of this same plan, block by block, we will deliver on the promise we made in our campaign to build 200,000 affordable, permanently rent-stabilized homes. And we will go beyond that and preserve and stabilize 200,000 more. These 400,000 affordable homes will be funded by a historic $22 billion capital investment over the next 5 years. These will be homes for the growing families in Brooklyn, for Hostos Community College students here in the Bronx, for CUNY students in Queens, for teachers in Staten Island, for construction workers in Manhattan. Because when I say this to you, I know it doesn't require translation, simply because of the fact that students know more than most how difficult it is to find housing you can afford in New York City. Whether you move to be closer to campus or you're living at home, you know what a 1.4% vacancy rate looks like. It means virtually no option to fit your needs. It means feeling as if you're being suffocated by a city that you want to be a part of. It means asking yourself how much longer you can keep living the way that you're living, and whether you have to leave to be able to spread your wings. And we never want you to come to the conclusion that you must leave this city in order to live your life. We want you to stay in this city so that you can build your life. And so alongside building 200,000 homes, preserving 200,000 additional homes, we are also going to pursue reforms so that New Yorkers can move into these homes faster. Because today, on average, when a building's construction is completed, it takes 7 months for a tenant to move into that vacant unit. 7 months. And we are going to cut that time down. Because it is unacceptable in a moment such as this that the easiest thing to do in New York City, which is to move somebody into an affordable unit, should take you so long. So block by block, we are going to empower tenants and deliver the protections that they need. Block by block, we will build the affordable, dignified lives that New Yorkers deserve. Block by block, we will prove that tackling this crisis is no longer one that government should debate, but instead one that government should deliver on. So let me hear it. Block by block. Block by block. Block by block. Block by block. Thank you, my friends. I think we're now going to have some guests join us on the stage.
Okay. All right. All right. Friends, my name is Fat Shakir. I'm the founder and executive director of More Perfect Union. Thank you for coming out tonight. Another round of applause for your awesome mayor. Those of us who are not New Yorkers are extremely jealous of you. We are subjected to national leadership who is abusing taxpayer dollars, doing all kinds of horrific, horrible things to hurt people's lives, including endless wars and so many things we could go on. And yet here, a person leading with integrity, thinking about waking up your lives, your struggles. I am honored on your behalf. You are lucky to have a person of deep integrity who leads you. He will go through some tough times. He will face some challenges, and we'll stick in his corner. And with that, let us find some questions in the audience. Yes, so first of all, we have Cea Weaver, who is his Administrative Office of Tenant Protections, who's joining us. All right, where's my mic guy? Ben, where are you? Ben? Oh, all right. Where are we going here? Anyone got a question? Please raise your hands. All right.
Oh, do you want to hold it?
You can hold it.
Okay, awesome. Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening.
My name is Sebastian. I am a senior in college, and I was born in the South Bronx. I unfortunately had to move when I was younger due to rising rent costs. But since then, I became a tenant organizer. And my question is about tenant unions that were mentioned previously. Regarding the new housing agenda and enforcement processes like writ large, how are you going to be actually working with those tenant unions? That was mentioned before, but would like to walk through that.
Thank you so much for that question. Just like in the workplace, the strongest way to organize for your rights is to be a part of a union. And tenant unions are a critical part of how we can ensure the tenants are actually enjoying the rights that they deserve. And so we are taking a number of steps in this plan, block by block, to ensure that city government is supporting those tenant unions. Now, one specific way that we're doing so is that when a tenant union reaches majority membership of any building, they coalesce around one issue. City government is going to coordinate enforcement days where we have multiple agencies coming together to do a roof-to-basement inspection of the entire building. This is critical because so often tenant unions are left in the dark as to what the conditions actually are. They're hoping maybe one agency will show up, and then they know they have to wait months for the next agency. We want to finally bring these efforts and actions together so that we can actually move forward on addressing these kinds of concerns. See, I don't know if you'd have anything, I don't know.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think it's just so critical that if you are a tenant, to talk to your neighbors and get organized yourselves. You know that there's power in numbers, and the best way for the city and for the owners of your building to know that we need to come and make repairs, that we need to make sure that conditions are addressed, is for tenants to get organized. Tenant organizations are the networks of solidarity that create the neighborly ties that bond us all together. And so making sure that you know your neighbors is about not just getting repairs, but it's also about making sure that maybe somebody can let you in if you get locked out. You know, it's really what is bringing all of New Yorkers together, and I really encourage you to get organized, to talk to your neighbors, and to form a tenant union where you live.
Okay, let's see some other hands. Where are we going here? Where do you want to go?
Hi, my name's Chris, and I live in East Harlem. I'm a student, a part of the Sunrise Movement's New York City chapter, and I'm wondering, how can young people be more engaged with your administration, and how can we help you fulfill this agenda?
Thank you so much. I think what I really appreciate about your question is that it understands the fact that we have to win this agenda. We have to work every day to deliver this agenda. We don't want this agenda to be words on a page. We want it to be a glimpse of the future that we're going to deliver. And the way that we do that is use every single tool at our disposal. So my ask to everyone here, if you're looking to be involved with our administration, with these efforts, with the work behind Block by Block, is to go to nyc.gov/organize. Now, this is part of an agenda that we have where we want to get more New Yorkers involved and engaged in the work of government. We want their struggles to inform government policies. So we have something called the Office of Mass Engagement, OME, which is looking to bring city government out into New York City. One of their focuses right now is on the Rent Guidelines Board. Can you raise your hand if you've heard of the Rent Guidelines Board? A lot of people here have. But there are a few people here who may not have. Now, we have a city of 8.5 million people. A little more than 2 million New Yorkers live in what is called rent-stabilized housing. This is housing where your rent increases or stays the same depending on a decision by the Rent Guidelines Board. So sometimes your rent goes up 3%, 5%, sometimes it's been frozen. Right now, the Rent Guidelines Board is debating what to do on the rent. And so what the Office of Mass Engagement is doing right now is knocking on people's doors who are rent stabilized, whether they're tenants or landlords or anywhere in between, to let them know these hearings are happening, these decisions will impact you, you should go to the hearing and tell them what that decision would mean on your life. We're not telling people how to testify, we're telling people that they should testify. Because last year, a decision that impacted more than 2 million people, there were fewer than 1,000 people who testified. Most people don't even know how their rent is set, who determines it. We want them to know the ins and outs of the policies that actually affect their lives. Thank you.
All right, let's see some other. Hey, let's go to this. Let's go to her right there. Let's go up to her right there. Right. Yeah.
All right. Good evening, Mayor Mamdani.
Good evening.
So, my name is Sierra Scott, and I am proud to stand here on behalf of my students. They're part of the National Clean Water Collective Youth Council. Unfortunately, they couldn't be here. But our scholars are leading the Poison to Prison Pipeline project, which raises awareness about lead exposure and advocates for lead service line replacement water testing, and water filtration solutions to help protect New Yorkers. The project is called the Poison to Prison Pipeline because research shows that this is linked to childhood-led exposure, to long-term impacts on health, behavior, educational outcomes, and involvement with the criminal justice system. My question is about housing, dignity, and rental ripoffs. New Yorkers are paying some of the highest rents in the country, yet a 2023 No Excuses report found that approximately 21%, which is 1 of 5 New Yorkers, may be receiving water through lead service lines, and 41% New York City water service lines are lead or potentially lead service lines. When tenants are paying premium rates or rents, shouldn't safe drinking water be considered a basic standard of decent housing? And what steps would you take to ensure that renters are not paying increasingly high housing costs while still facing potential lead exposure in the water coming into their homes? And then lastly, our students are working on this and they would love the opportunity to meet with you, to be able to share their ideas. They've been working on this for more than a year and they've gathered real data to support it. Thank you.
You're very welcome. First, please give your students my best and thank them for all of their work. I am now 6 months into this position and I have learned that I can never schedule something myself. But I will pass that on to the scheduling team and I will encourage you to share your information with them. What I will say is that I absolutely agree that the crisis in New York City is not just the cost of housing, but also the condition of housing. The other day when we announced Block by Block on Tuesday, a member of the press asked a question about a specific landlord who had gone to jail for the violation of the housing code. And I asked, was that not the same landlord who had another building on the Upper West Side where they found an active beehive in the building? And it was. And that speaks to the level of impunity that many landlords are operating with. And what I've been clear about is that my dream is not that we hold every bad landlord accountable. My dream is that we don't have to. My dream is that every landlord is responsive to their tenants and that every landlord is following housing code. And I know that there are many landlords who are like that. The issue, however, is that there are a number of bad landlords who have been able to operate with impunity, no consequence for their actions. And part of what this housing plan puts forward is specifically funding to ensure that we can hold these kinds of landlords accountable, and especially the top 10 worst landlords in New York City, that we can actually start to explore all of the tools we need to transfer ownership of those properties to those who will actually safely steward them, whether they're a nonprofit, a community land trust, or the tenants themselves. That is how we are looking at this because, frankly, this is the law. And for too long, housing code has been treated like a suggestion, not a requirement. And when it comes to lead, I was actually lucky enough to have the experience of going with an HPD inspector into a building to test for lead. And it showed me in that moment something that we all know but too often lose sight of, which is the level of expertise required to make sure that you are keeping every unit as it should be. From the city's perspective, it requires inspectors who are being invested in. And that's part of what this plan has done. It has led us to put in additional millions of dollars to hire more of these enforcement agents across our agencies to ensure that we can actually deliver on what your students have been studying. Thank you so much.
You might have to get out of here soon, but we'll take one more. You got one more. Is there anyone from Hostos Community College here? Give me a shout. Who wants to ask a question? Right there. Let's go to the community college. We'll give them a last shout. All right.
Shout out to all the Bronx Community College Hostos. You already know I'm a graduate from Hostos. How you doing, Mayor?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm actually a lead advocate at CUNY Cares.
Okay.
What we do is we service the students in the 3 Bronx schools, Hostos, Lehman, and Bronx Community College, and we show them and let them know what resources are available to them in the college and in the communities we live in. So what I want to know from you, Mayor, is there any policies or any of this block by block that's specifically for students or that helps students, from the Bronx or from these areas that's low income?
First of all, can we give her a round of applause? Truly, thank you for your work. And I say that because there are a lot of programs and services in New York City, and there are a lot of people who have no idea that they exist. And we need people like you who are telling New Yorkers what they can actually have at their fingertips. Because too often we've just rested on our laurels. We've said if a program exists, that's enough. We have to tell people about the program. And thank you for doing that. Because especially for our students, it is overwhelming to enter into adulthood and to have to deal with every single aspect of that challenge, and to finally have someone who can just hold their hand and guide them to some of the things that will make it easier. I can tell you there's so many New Yorkers who wish that they had you many years ago. So thank you for your work. On to your question about students specifically, and also to the Bronx specifically. So first I'm going to talk about the Bronx. What we've heard is that there are tenants in the Bronx who don't even know that they have a landlord. They don't even know who the landlord is because they never see that landlord. They have no idea how to get in touch with that landlord. There is an absenteeism in the way in which some of these buildings are being stewarded, and an inability with the city's current resources for it to follow up on it. And so one of the things that we're doing is we're saying in a city where you can order Uber Eats on your phone and you can see every step of where that delivery is, why is it that when you call 311 and you ask for an HPD inspector and they come and you don't happen to be home, all you get is a piece of paper on the floor? So what this plan does is it allows you to do something that I wish wasn't revolutionary, but apparently it is, which is if you miss that appointment, you can reschedule it at a time that you're actually home. And second of all, we have often heard the refrain when we talk about affordable housing. People will say, affordable for who? And so when I talk about the 200,000 homes, I want to make very clear, these are 200,000 affordable homes. And the way that we talk about affordability is that it has an investment in homes for formerly homeless New Yorkers. It's an investment in homes for seniors in this city. And it's an investment in the level of income that many students are at this moment in their life. And there they can't find an apartment. So we are looking to make it easier, not just for a student to stay in the apartment that they're in, but for them to actually be able to move in somewhere and not have to make the kind of money that they're going to school to try and find a way to make. What about right now? So these are the focuses for us. I'll say separate from block by block. We also have an executive budget that we put out. And in that budget, we increased funding for CUNY. And we did something where we decided to make that permanent. Because sometimes an increase, it's a 1 year. CUNY is important to all of us every year. And I'll tell you, when I was growing up in this city, I moved to the city when I was 7 years old. And when I was growing up in this city, one of my favorite things was when I would ride the train, I would see CUNY All-Stars on the train. And it would be this ad of like the 5 best students across CUNY. And I would look at them and I'd be like, wow, these are stars of New York City. And that's what you all are as CUNY students. And it's time that we actually recognize that. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I am so sorry, everyone. I know there are more questions, but I sadly have to run to the next event where I will also be taking questions. But it has been such a pleasure to be here. And I just want to say, when you ask yourself how you know that in our administration there's someone speaking up for tenants, it's a pleasure to be here alongside Cea Weaver, who's been that voice in so many of these conversations. Thank you all, my friends. All the best.
The Honorable Zohran Mamdani. All right, we're not quite done yet because Cea said she'll stick around and answer some of the questions that you may have on housing. And so
I'm not quite as good, but I'll do my best.
On the mayor's behalf, so it's an opportunity for people to ask questions or provide testimonials about housing issues that you may be experiencing. I see you. Let's go to this young man.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Makita Byfield. I'm joined by my 2 younger siblings, Janiyah and Masai. We are all here as Youth Action Council members with the Bronx Leadership and Organizing Center, which is a coalition working to address poverty in this borough. And so we are here because we have experienced homelessness twice. And so I think my siblings can speak a little bit more to the conditions. My brother was 5 when we were first homeless in 2014. We bounced around from shelter to family members' house and did not find stable housing in the Bronx until 2022. Additional context is I, as of last week, have my master's in social work.
Congratulations.
And in the past have worked with students in temporary housing in the New York City public school system. I know every fall or so, Advocates for Children of New York releases reports on how many students are experiencing housing insecurity. I've seen kids as young as 5 in the public school system, not knowing what's going on in the classroom because they're so concerned with what's happening with their housing conditions. And so I provide all this context to say I'm very passionate about not just what's happening with people who are housed now, but looking at students in temporary housing and young unhoused people, especially in the Bronx, who are trying to move into stable housing. So how do we ensure that their voices and their experiences are not left behind as we're talking about this housing agenda for the next year?
Thank you. So the mayor spoke about our plan to build 200,000 units of affordable housing, and he said it's going to be actually affordable. To just put a little bit of a stat on that, this is going to be a 45% increase in the amount of housing that we are building for people who are currently experiencing homelessness. It's a $1.1 billion increase in supportive housing options for people, and we are fully committed to making sure that those homes go to New Yorkers who are truly in need. So if we are able to implement our production agenda, which will take all of us working together to implement our production agenda, we are going to see a huge increase in the amount of affordable housing that's available for people who are currently experiencing houselessness. It's not going to be easy to do, and so we all know, we've all experienced in the city that there are certain neighborhoods that don't want affordable housing to be built, and they don't want homeless people to move into their neighborhood. As soon as they move into their neighborhood, guess what? They're not homeless anymore, you know? So I think we really need to, it will take a movement of all of us working together to embrace new housing opportunities and to make it easier for people to find safe and stable places to live.
Good. Right up here. This will make sure you say your
Hi,
name.
Sarah.
How you doing?
I'm good. Nice to see you.
Good. Good afternoon, everyone. First, I have to say thank you all young people for coming out to this. Thank you. And thank you, More Perfect University. We need the youth in this fight. Okay, my name is Sarah Delaney. I'm an alumni of Hostos Community College and Lehman. So I have to say that listening to what the mayor had to say, remember he ran on 3 things, right? He ran on universal child care, he ran on free buses, and he ran on a rent-free NYC. Rent-free for 1- and 2-year apartment, 2-year leases. So that's no increases on all leases in New York City, right? So that means we have to come out on June 8th and let the Rent Guidelines Board know what's going on in our household. You all are the next wave, the next leaders in this city, the next apartment owners. 70% of New York City are tenants. So we have tenant power. So make sure you come out on June 8th and stay in this fight. Go to the website that he gave, join up and sign up, because when we fight, we win. When we fight, we win.
I just want to make it a little bit even easier. Where you are right now is exactly where the Rent Guidelines Board hearing is going to be. So it's June 8th, right here, same time. Would love to see you there.
All right, we got a student organizer, please. Well, hold on 1 second. All right.
Hello, my name is Aisha. I'm an immigrant from Pakistan. I grew up in the Bronx. I live in Harlem. And as somebody with this background, I've seen how private university expansion from Columbia to other private entities, universities acting as businesses, has driven out the native New York community, as well as making it unaffordable for people to be able to live and afford their neighborhoods. And so I want to know, what are some concrete steps that your administration will be able to take to regulate universities as landlords and protect longtime tenants from displacement?
Thanks for the question. So in our proposal, in our housing plan, block by block, we want to make it easier for tenants to form unions, and we want to give tenants the tools to come together to form a tenant union in their building and to advocate for stronger tenants' rights, for better enforcement of their living conditions. And often we know, and in your neighborhood in Harlem specifically, that Columbia is the largest landlord in that neighborhood, right? That means that it will take people power, people coming together to put pressure on them in that institution. So the more people that we can form, the more organization that we can build, the more we're going to be able to collectively make sure that they are holding up their end of the bargain. One of the things that I think we're really excited about in our housing plan is $2.2 billion in preservation, affordable housing preservation. I think this is also important for the lead piping question, right? That's the kind of money that makes it possible for tenants coming together to compete in the market, to take buildings away from speculators and to convert them into things like community land trusts, cooperatively owned housing, and housing that's not for profitly controlled. And that's the type of housing that has kept working class people in neighborhoods as it gentrifies. So not only do we want to make sure that we're doing enforcement against some of the biggest landlords and those persistent bad actors, but we want to actually make it easier for there to be real infrastructure, social infrastructure, physical infrastructure, affordable housing for people to stay. And so that billions of dollars in commitment will give us the tools that we need to both upgrade existing distressed housing, but to keep it permanently affordable in perpetuity. And I'm excited to explore those things with you all. Oh, I did have one more thing I wanted to share on like the lead paint question and the lead, actually. I have the mic and where the next one goes. So the city has something called rent impairing violations. Have you guys heard of rent impairing violations before? One person? Two people? So a rent impairing violation is what it sounds like. It's a violation that so threatens the health and safety of the people who are living in a building that the landlord's ability to collect rent is barred. There's a list of what counts as rent impairing violations, and there's rules for how you can enforce it. You can't just like willy-nilly say, I don't have to pay rent anymore. It requires process and organizing, right? You know, you can't just decide not to go to work and say that you're on strike. You actually have to get organized with your coworkers and form a union and negotiate and bargain and so on and so forth. But there is a process that tenants can do together to say this condition has not been fixed and the landlord, therefore, cannot collect rent. We are rolling out a training series to train tenants in how to effectively use that rent impairing violation, but also the list of rent impairing violations has not been updated since 1992, and it does not include the persistent presence of lead paint. So, we are going to update that list of rent impairing violations. And in order to do so, there's going to be we can't just decide to do it. There's a process. There's going to be hearings, rulemaking, and procedures that the city has to do. And so I really encourage you all, if there's something that's happening in your building, whether it's mold, whether it's lead paint in the pipes, whether it's something that is making you sick, and you don't see it reflected in the way that the city is addressing the housing maintenance code, come to that hearing. We'll make sure you know what it is and make sure that the city knows about it.
See, I want to be mindful of your time. How many? A couple more? Or you
yeah, I can take one more. Maybe one more question.
All right. Here, let's go. All right, go ahead.
Organizer?
Yeah, go for it.
Organizer?
You came all the way from Staten Island, so I think we deserve to hear from you.
Go for it. Here, take my mic.
Okay. My question was, let's say you went a freeze agenda, recognize that working class New Yorkers, especially an immigrant, and black and brown communities are under enormous financial pressure. At the same time, ICE enforcement in New York creates fear and instability in those same neighborhoods. How can a rent freeze agenda be reparative protectors that ensure immigrant families are not destabilized economically on one side and targeted by ICE or the other?
Thank you for the question. So one of the things that I love so much about rent stabilization is that it is not a program that asks you anything about your immigration status when you try to benefit from it, right? It's not what they sometimes call means tested. It's available to everybody. If you live in a rent stabilized apartment, you get to benefit from rent stabilization. One of the things that's so wonderful about tenant unions is that they create those social networks and ties that can protect you and your neighbors from ICE. Our housing plan includes an initiative that's going to roll out door knocking and know your rights campaigns and solidarity campaigns in neighborhoods that have high immigrant density, so that tenants know how they know their rights, and they also have the tools and the networks with their neighbors to defend their buildings from ICE coming in. We've also filmed some recent videos, educational videos that you can check out on HPD's Instagram. One thing that we've heard from tenants, like those of you in this room, is that sometimes an ICE enforcement agent says, I'm an HPD inspector. That is not an acceptable tactic, and so we want to make sure that tenants know what an HPD inspector actually looks like. They are trained. They have to say something specific. They have a specific badge. They have a job. They are wearing a uniform, and so we want to make sure that you know that if somebody just shows up and they say they're an HPD inspector, you don't have to let them in if they're not doing what an HPD inspector does. So that's a kind of like educational tool. We want to make sure that tenants know their rights. We want to make sure that tenants have the networks of solidarity to defend themselves and their neighbors against ICE, and we want to make sure that you know what to expect when the city comes to your building so that you can check out if something's amiss.
Let's give it up. Cea is
Thank you guys so much.
personifies the high quality of people that Zohran Mamdani has recruited into his administration. Thank you for your good work. And we're going to close this out with the lease offering us closing remarks. Thank you, everybody, for coming out.
I'm sorry, I was printed out to specifically ask a question and then completely ignored. Someone walked away from me, so I'd like to be able to speak my piece just real quick, if I could.
It's been a super tight event. I'm sorry that you didn't get to ask a question.
Sir, go ahead. If you make it quick, and then we'll wrap. Yes, it's all right. Go ahead. Sorry.
Very much. My name is Joshua Santiago. I am a organizer in Bronx North Central who is currently responding to the ICE situation. Personally speaking, I am someone who still lives with my mother as a 31-year-old man, and I make less than $30,000 a year. And I'm, by the way, I'm sad that Mayor Mamdani had left because as a fellow Bronx Science grad, as a class of 2012, this is also a little bit of a concern for me. But anyway, and of course, my mother is currently facing an eviction, but I don't need help from that. I've already contacted the mayor's office. But my question is, how will the mayor's office and the Rent Guidelines Board and all of these initiatives, the block by block initiative, will help Bronxites who are very low income, still navigating their way through the tenant process. Especially, I've been applying for over 8 years, and my application is still like between Section 8 and New York Housing. It's been spent there. So again, more protections for low-income tenants, please.
I can't speak for the mayor's office, but I know that you should continue to stay engaged. And the mayor spoke to how he was how testifying at the Rent Guidelines Board's hearings are crucial, so you can make your voice heard, and whatever the decision may be by the Rent Guidelines Board, that your input was taken into account. And like they said, 400 tenants. 400 people showed up to the Rent Guidelines Board's hearing last year, and that's why it's critical. We need to stay engaged in this process. Do you want to say anything specific?
Can you just repeat the question very quickly? Because I was talking to these people about their city. Did you have a question? Sorry, I wanted to make sure I answered the question. Oh, yeah, cool. Yeah, okay. So please do come out to the Rent Guidelines Board hearing on June 8th, as Sarah mentioned. And in addition to the Rent Guidelines Board hearing, where you can make your voices heard, we also are going to have a sort of a resource fair there. And then we are launching this sort of Bronx Plan initiative as part of our housing plan, where we hope to be in neighborhoods with a particular focus on addressing housing quality and healthcare issues. So a lot more to come.
Okay, thank you all so much for being here tonight and for taking time out of your Thursday. If you're a student, the way that you can engage with More Perfect University is joining our Discord. And yeah, we want to hear from you. Pitch us stories, pitch us events, talk to other students from different campuses. Thank you all so much. I hope you show up to Hostos Community College in the next week to testify at the Rent Guidelines Board's hearings and continue to stay engaged and organized. Thank you so much.